Alright, so this is my video on assignment 3 talking about personalities. So, kind of know that personalities can play a big role in how we interact with one another. If someone is a type A kind of personality, they're more likely to take charge of any given situation and be more vocal about their opinions on certain topics. On the other side of the spectrum, if someone is a type B personality, they're more likely to be a little more carefree and have a more go with the flow type of mentality. Type A could be described as more aggressive, while type B can be described as a little more submissive. Now, those words kind of seem familiar. They're kind of similar to the assignment 1, where we talked about the differences between genders during negotiations. One of my articles from that assignment was titled Power and Gender Negotiations During Interviews with Men About Sex and Sexually Degrading Practices. That article indicated that males took on a more dominant role while females took a more submissive role in negotiations and interviews. So generally speaking, a conclusion can be made that men tend to have more of a type A personality, while females tend to be more of a type B personality. Of course, this doesn't really hold true to everybody. Women can be aggressive, men can be subordinate. Being a male myself, I tend to not really follow that typical trend of what I just said about that I should be a type A personality. I feel like I'm more of a type B. I describe myself as more of a thinker rather than a talker, or someone who works at my own pace rather than racing to finish first. But there are also some type A attributes that I feel like I have, such as being concerned with time management and perhaps related to that, experiencing levels of stress. But in regards to negotiations in class, I feel like I've been more of a type B personality, probably due to being more of a thinker or handling the research side of negotiations, or just having relatively little experience in negotiations in general, so I tend to take a back seat and let other people in the class who are type A's deal with the main talking. But being aware of such personality traits is important, according to an article by Tak-Wing Yu and Hung K. Lee, and an article from the American Society of Engineers. And being aware of what personality trait you have and what personality traits the other party has can be a key determinant in how the outcome of the negotiation is going to be. These traits can shape behaviors, including nonverbal and verbal behaviors, and they can have an impact on the result for sure. It also introduces the Big Five personality model, which measures personality traits: openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. Very popular method in describing these personality traits. So now we got type A's, type B's, and that's pretty much it, right? Well, not necessarily. I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but should type A's only be allowed to do the negotiations then if they're so good at talking? And that's not necessarily the case. I found an article titled "The Mind and Heart Literally of a Negotiator: Personality and Contextual Determinants of Experimental Reactions and Economic Outcomes in Negotiation." Found that those who took the Big Five test and found to be more highly agreeable should be better suited for integrative negotiations, which is more of a cooperative process. And conversely, those who are to be lower in agreeableness should be better suited for distributive negotiations, which is more about maximizing one's share of the outcome. The research from this study shows that there's a usefulness for those on both sides of the coin, and even if you see agreeableness as an asset or liability, personality types can help determine a better fit for what types of negotiations you should be a part of. So now I'm getting to this. So there's type A personalities and type B personalities, and that's pretty much it, except it's not. I found an article talking about psychopathic personalities, and deals with those who exhibit those who are manipulative, impulsive, narcissistic. To explain it in another way, they're just about willing to do anything it takes to get the deal done. They use these methods to climb higher into the business world, receive management positions through bullying and deceptive tactics. I like to think of psychopathic personalities to be several steps above type A personality to the extreme, like on steroids or something. To put it on a negotiation continuum, psychopathic personalities deal with bargaining rather than deal making or relationship building. They are definitely the epitome of doing whatever it takes to finish the deal. They usually look bad having a psychopathic personality. They tend to only care about individual gain at the expense of the other parties involved, and such tactics can be damaging to a relationship, and the future businesses between the two parties can be in jeopardy. But it's also an indicator that the person wants to do the best job possible and strive for new records. But generally speaking, dealing with a psychopathic personality means that sustaining a long-term relationship just might not be possible. Finally, I want to end on a global scale here. There's another type of personality, and it comes with dealing with business negotiations. And I found an article based on Chinese negotiation tactics and how they do business and what their origin is. So the authors of this article, they conducted a study on Chinese business students, and they observed their negotiation styles for Confucian traits. They concluded that the business students deal with or use tactics from Confucius, like courage and benevolence, and they tried to look for wisdom too. Overall, the purpose of the study was to learn more about Chinese negotiation styles in order to foster a better business relationship with Western societies and to take advantage of an emerging market. Now, basically, to conclude the video, I feel like being aware of personalities is very important in negotiations. They can definitely set you in the right direction of what your role should be, or even building a relationship to sustain long term. And yeah, that's about it. I think this is a very interesting assignment to do, and I'm glad I took the time to do quite a bit of research on it. That's about it. See ya.